Being a light in the industry, you better have a family. You better have a good relationship with Jesus. You better know who you are, because the devil's going to come after all those things. I mean, Hollywood is essentially, I'm a missionary. That's a lost and broken world. I have to be on my guard, and I have to be knowing that these people need Jesus. Go out there and just be that light, and just being aware that the devil wants to take you out.
Filmmaker and cinematographer, traveling the world crafting movement-driven and action-forward visuals with rich storytelling through short films, campaigns, and future motion pictures, with a heart to change the narrative of Hollywood. This is Andrew Boyer.
Well, welcome to the Endeavor series. I am your host, Grace Lemons. Welcome back to season 2, Wrecked by God, or for short, Wrecked. What happens when your whole world and everything you thought you knew was completely flipped upside down because you encountered the real God? Today, we're going to talk about creativity. We're going to see it through the lens of Mr. Andrew Boyer.
Hi.
And what creativity looks like in cinematography with Jesus. So welcome, Boyer. You were so fun. You were so fun. First of all, I love who you are just as a person. Love your energy and love what you do in cinematography. So who are you? What do you do? Where are you at right now?
Grace, thanks for having me on your show. Very excited.
I'm so glad that you're here. It has been a long time. We tried to get you on season 1, but you're out there filming stories and cinematography.
Out there going crazy.
Yeah, traveling the world, doing creative things. Now we're in resting season, hopefully. You just got back like a week ago. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah. Let's go.
I love the set. I love the crew.
Yeah.
And earlier, you guys saw that we were all like praying together.
Yeah.
You guys get to see the behind the scenes of the making of the Endeavor series, the making of just community and friendship. We're
all like best friends, and that's what makes these things so fun.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's the best. I am originally from Denver, Colorado. Lived there for 5 years. My dad, he worked for UPS growing up, and UPS went on strike. And so then he realized that his trust in provision and money and all of that was in UPS and not in God. He felt God say, I want you to take a leap of faith, pack up your whole family and move to another state. And we had 7 kids at that point. So I have 7 siblings. We heard of a church that was in Oklahoma, and we were like, let's do it. So we basically packed up the house, sold it, and moved to Oklahoma. He started a whole new career. So that was kind of the environment I was raised in, which was like a very hungry after God. Obedience to God is the highest priority. Risk and leaps of faith. They were modeled for me growing up. My mom and dad are just legends. Ever since we were kids, we would do Bible studies every night. My dad would get home from work and play with us and, wrestle and play football in the living room. My parents are just heroes. We were homeschooled all the way up. In that, we were able to kind of start work a little bit earlier in life. After UPS, after the move, he started a construction company. I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters. That allowed all of us to put our hands to work immediately because we were homeschooled. So we would do our school in the morning and then go hop on a construction set and help build houses. We learned work ethic from a young age, and just, being resourceful and problem solving and all of that. Raised working with our hands, building stuff. We were raised out on a ranch, so we had a couple horses, and we had some pigs at some point, but then they got turned into our breakfast, Very tasty. R.I.P. Sammy. My family was actually very artistic and creative kind of by nature. My mom was classically trained in piano, and my dad was a musician and played guitar and sang. It's kind of funny because we didn't really the creative career wasn't necessarily a thing necessarily in our family up until that point, other than honestly my dad in construction was able to operate in a lot of creativity. He quickly became one of the top remodelers of our town because of just his work ethic, his integrity, his innovation and creativity. From a young age, we were doing art, we were drawing, we were painting, we were dancing, played music. My dad would lead us in little family worship every night. I met in the homeschool community, I met 2 brothers and a sister who already were doing, it was kind of when I think I was 14 or 15. Mm-hmm. They had a production company already going, and the sister had a photography company. I saw them doing what they loved for a living in the creative space, And I was like, oh shoot, like I should do that too. Why can't I do that? We always had a VHS camera growing up when we were kids, so our parents would always be filming us. I had the presence of a camera in my family, in my life, so it felt natural to have this device to help tell stories. When I realized that I could do this as a career, I was like, no way. Creativity was just kind of like in our house. I bought a camera, basically just started taking photos and shooting videos. I remember taking my first gig, my first paid gig. I think I was like maybe 15. I just turned 15 and I had like a little like VHS like film camera, and I was like shooting it, you know, and the bug started to bite me, you know, of like the creative like filmmaker's bug. Telling stories, crafting emotion. Quickly became obsessed and quickly realized the career of emotion and crafting story and being able to like impact others with things that I'm making. I love this. The two brothers had the video production company, and then their sister had the photography company. So I was actually raised in both. She was like one of the top photographers of the whole state. Like everyone knew who she was. So her name was Abigail Smith. She was friends with Sarah Barlow, who shot Taylor Swift's 1989 album cover and the Red album cover and like a couple, basically Taylor's early work. She was my mentor, one of my best friends, and then she actually got some type of rare form of cancer that essentially, it was a weird thing. It like grew kind of like under her arm. Basically got surgery, got it taken out, but then a year later it had spread to her lungs, and then like a year later she had passed in the hospital. I remember her looking over at me and going like everything that I have, like I'm like, it's yours now, like the mantle is yours now. Carry on what we've learned and what you've learned, and blessed me and my career, and then passed and went to Jesus. She loved Jesus. I mean, it was crazy that her testimony, her brothers made a video kind of on her story and her life, and it went viral. Her family could have been so bitter at God and so just like, but they were so strong and just were so like, they kept just blessing God and just saying he's good and he's in charge and he's sovereign. And so lots of people came to Jesus through even her life. I know I'm supposed to do this. Like, I know I'm supposed to tell these stories. I know. And then I kept working with her brothers, Andrew and Adam Smith, legends. They helped me skip a bunch of like newbie tracks, like where a lot of people wouldn't make mistakes in the film space or editing or cinematography. They were like, don't do that. Just do this, and I'm like, oh my God, it makes so much more sense. Like right after that, I had turned 18 and then I met the circuit writers. The circuit writers just came to my house. It was a whole nother random God story thing. Like, they weren't even really called necessarily circuit writers at that point, because it was before it was even a missions organization. It was really just a squad of people that wanted to do evangelism on college campuses. They prayed. They all heard that they were supposed to come to our house, and it was like over 2 hour drive out of the way. And there's like a random family out in the bushes. We were way out in the country. Within minutes, like, I had never like experienced that type of DNA before. Like, spiritual fire plus young, like my age people. I had my camera out because I was just like documenting and filming. Afterwards, they were like, yo, we don't really have a media guy. You should think about coming out to California and like joining circuit writers. And I was like, me and my friends were like, we don't need California. Like, we're going to do the film industry here. We don't need to go out, and everyone goes out to California. But then God was like, no, you're going out to California. So then I finally headed out basically until 2014. I met them in 2012, and I finally officially moved out in 2014. And I think there was something about those 2 years that God was crafting like some character development and some stuff inside me that helped for my next transition to California. Essentially dove headfirst into making campaigns. Actually, on my birthday, we shot the first campaign for the missions organization Circuit Writers in LA, and I'm like running through LA with like the set pieces and my team and all this stuff. First campaign, and I was just like, this is the craziest, like, it was just a wild like moment, in life where it just God was like going like, this is it, this is your family, this is who you're supposed to be with. That campaign was very hard, but at the same time, it set the tone for like the type of grit I would need for the next decade, which I had no idea what I was about to get into. Like, the next decade of my life was I would have never imagined how intense and amazing and beautiful, but hard and emotional, and all of the journey that it would be. Can
we watch that video? Can I insert link here and like watch it quick?
It's so embarrassing because it's like
first one.
You're right. It's true. It was called the Living Room Tour.
Okay.
And it was before Carry the Love. It was before like any official brand that we had started in Circuit Writers. It was our first attempt at like a national tour, grassroots tour. That production was hilarious. We're like running across roofs with a couch.
So you move out from Oklahoma to California with a video camera in your hand and a dream and a prophetic word over your life, and you start the whole media design for circuit riders.
From an early age, I knew that I wanted to make movies and I wanted to do film industry stuff. So I didn't know how that was going to look. I didn't know how to get there, all that stuff. So basically, when I was praying about moving out to California, God said, I want you to join circuit riders, establish a family, and then he'll open up the industry. So then that was kind of the order. The last 10 years of just essentially establishing that family. The media team, the Brent family, my roommate Reggie, he also actually moved out with me. He was in Oklahoma as well. My friend Danny Bryan, Jeremy Bardwell he was our lead designer in Circuit Riders for the first few years. Actually designed the Carry Love flag and the CR logo. Legend. They're like my brothers, you know? They're like my true family. The Bible says like a friend can stay closer than a brother. It's like that bond that you build in the trenches. For years, we've been through the most insane situations, built the most insane campaigns on crazy deadlines with no resources, and then end up God just blows on it and breathes on it, and it just explodes, shooting way out of our league here, but we want to change the world, so whatever, like we're sending it. Get a family, establish your relationships and family, and then he'll open the industry. So not until like only in the last couple of years have I seen that transition start to take place.
Yeah. What have been some of the media projects or pieces of work you've done recently?
The most recent project, I just got back from South Africa. Basically, my girlfriend, shout out Kaylee, she's my best friend and I love her. She's a media director for a missions organization called Fire and Fragrance, kind of their head strategist and media director / producer. And so they started a brand new brand and initiative. When is this coming out?
We won't say. We'll bleep over this.
Called It's basically a campaign focused on discipleship. Discipleship is not necessarily cinematic. So I'm like, discipleship is very normal life. Like, it's very much like you're just having conversation with your friends or your family or your mentors. Every kind of piece of media I had seen on discipleship is so cheesy and so like not very compelling. Oh my gosh, I had the chance and the opportunity here to pioneer something fresh, brand new stuff in the Christian space. We can maybe link the project when I finish it to this, the description of this video. But it ended up being insane. Dove into development and wrote the script and went crazy and went mad scientist mode and just like re-visualized the emotion and the core of what discipleship produces in somebody, which is just like freedom, life, and breakthrough. We can't do this alone. Like, if you want to change the world, you can't do it alone. You need friends, you need mentors, you need discipleship. And we spoke to that core feeling of like every human who just wants to do something with their lives. Even though if they don't have the words or they can't quite explain what they want to do, they just know they want to do something with their lives. This needs to be said. Kaylee, my girlfriend, was the producer on the project, and she honestly, without her, I could not have done this project the way that it was done. She allowed me to stay in this kind of creative visionary swirl, as a producer does, basically laid the runway for and did all of the administration and the producing and all the details, and basically allowed this whole project to just take off. And so shout out to Kaylee, honestly.
I love a production manager.
Yeah, no, for real. She's a producer, production manager. She is an artist and a designer. She studied fashion in Paris, so she just gets like the whole space. That was our second campaign together, but that was the first campaign in our relationship. The way we started our relationship was on a campaign in South Africa. But that was before, that's where we were starting to, it
was a movie? Was it a movie?
It was a basically it could have been.
You know that movie Fall Guy, where it's like the like production manager director, and then it's like the stunt man, they like meet each other on set. Well, first of all, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing your story, where you're coming from, who you are, the grit life of it, the journey, the craziness, but then the love and the fun things. It's
Praise God.
Your whole story life is a cinematic movie, and I love it. And I hope you guys know how difficult and how time consuming the whole post-production and pre-production process is. Like,
editing is another thing, man.
I love my team. We'll just say
shout out all editors around the world.
Shout out.
Editors are built different. Yeah. Extra hugs and
extra hugs.
If you know an editor friend and they're working on a project, send them a love text right now and just be like, I love you and you're the best, and don't die.
They would appreciate it. They would appreciate it. They would appreciate it. They would appreciate it. We send prayers out to all of our
right.
production management team.
Praise God.
Something that you said that I really loved was that you had the opportunity to create something fresh with your work, especially as a Christian, as a believer. I feel like some of the misconceptions I think of in the creative space as believers is, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've definitely experienced as a creative myself, not really seeing anything out of the creative Christian world. There seems to be a lack of creatives in the Christian world, or if there's a lack of quality. I mean, seeing the things that you're doing, it's like, wow, I feel like I'm at the movie theater right now watching a masterpiece, but Jesus is behind it. That doesn't seem to be something that is seen. I don't know. Is it just not as valued? Is it something where maybe like the Christian world, we kind of just don't really care about the creative? Like, I wonder like what it is, because God is the ultimate creator. He created everything, the heavens and the earth, in 7 days. 7 days is not enough time to edit a video, y'all, let alone create the world. Literally. So God is the ultimate creator. And
true, facts.
I just wonder, I'm like, what is it?
There's quite a few different elements that kind of make up where we're at as a Christian society in the artistic world and creative world. And different people will have different answers. I'm just going to speak from my experience and like from what I've seen, like what I've picked up in this space. There was a restructuring of values that happened years ago. Christianity was at one point the leaders of creativity, innovation, art back in the Renaissance. I mean, there's so much Christian art that is inspiring thousands and millions of people for the last 400, 500 years in society. Michelangelo's painting on that ceiling in Rome is just like insane. They were encountering God, you know? I don't know exactly at what point we lost that. There was an amazing quote I just read. I'm reading this book, and he's basically kind of breaking down the art history and breaking down what art does to our souls. Back in the Renaissance and the medieval era, was basically art was functional. It was actually a tool. They called it the poor man's Bible. There was a high rate of illiteracy back then. People couldn't read. Even Michelangelo basically said, I'm going to paint the Sistine Chapel. I'm going to paint this giant mural on the ceiling, and people who can't read will be able to look up and see the creation story, the act of Jesus and God reaching out to man, and like all of that stuff. So it was really actually a functional tool for people to encounter God. That was how it started. It was leading the way in encounters with God. He says, what's the role of art? This is also Bill Hull. That's the author of this book. The role of art as a part of spiritual formation in contemporary life. Most of us are products of the Reformation, which reacted to the images of medieval Christianity by removing the altars and moving the pulpits to center stage in order to give the proclamation of God's word a central place. However, this brought a rejection of art and caused the loss of a tool that God uses to speak to people and move them to praise and service. In addition to the loss of sacred art, most of us face a daily confrontation with other images via television, films, printed media, and our computers. Our challenge is to filter out the vast barrage of images that can damage our souls and then find images that foster the process of following Jesus. In the Middle Ages, God used art to form people spiritually. He does the same in our postmodern age. Discern and enjoy. After the Renaissance, we kind of like more prioritized spoken word and written word and we kind of lost touch of the emotion and the functionality of like how art actually brings us to God. He says, these images provided beauty and inspired the people to live for a higher purpose than what they saw in the filth and squalor of their daily existence. You got to remember, the Middle Ages were horrible. The Black Plague, disease, they didn't have like good plumbing systems and like the sanitary, I mean, it was horrible back then. Like how young people died back then was awful. That's why he's saying like these images provided beauty and inspired people to live for a higher purpose than what they saw around them. He says, we can learn much from the church in the Middle Ages. Even now, half of the world's population is illiterate and lives in poverty, yet God continues to change them through the same appeal to all their senses. Modern technology provides a fast and portable means of speaking their language. All of us need to touch, hear, see, smell, and speak in our own language of liturgy, of confession and praise to God. Every household in America owns 4 Bibles, and we have wonderful Bible teaching, while artful music and drama wait at our fingertips. A glut of images can stimulate in us the vilest action or inspire the most glorious praise of God. May God give us the discipline to use all that we have for our own discipleship and for the making of other disciples. So that whole concept, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot there. Why God continues to breathe on artists,
Yeah.
and why he breathed on artists in the past
Yeah.
was to encounter his people,
Yeah.
and to make a gateway for people to connect with the beauty and emotion of God. I don't know exactly why we lost it necessarily. That's a whole study in of itself. But in the last, couple hundred years, Christianity has not led the way in artistic creation. For me, even since I was a little kid, I'm like, why are we trying to copy everything? Why are we trying to make mimics of every movie or artist? All of the Christian ripoff bands of Coldplay and, all the different things. A lot of it is Christianity is scared of art. There's a fear of the loss of control in churches and in different Christian organizations, because art is like very ethereal sometimes and very like it's birthed out of the emotion of God. So human emotions and God emotions can sometimes create messy things, and a lot of church leaders and organizations it's just too
like
risky. I think there's just been a hand of like control on the artistic Christian space, and it hasn't been encouraged in churches because it's just hard to like control.
Or that
Overall,
one media guy in every church.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
like
yeah.
only one person on the media team.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or just like you have like certain artists within the church congregation, and they're like fine artists and they like painting beautiful things. But overall, it's just not been a culture of permission and encouragement from the leadership and from pastors and from our kind of spiritual fathers and mothers. For me, when I joined Circuit Riders, this was a huge, I cannot state this enough. My spiritual father, Brian Brent, one of my mentors, he was the founder of Circuit Riders, him and his wife. He loved art. He just dished out permission to us, the creatives and artists, like I have never seen before. He's like, here's a vision. Our generation needs Jesus. They're going to hell. We need to create art that is going to encounter our generation. Youth groups aren't like typical way of doing church is not working. We need something that is going to grip our generation. Run wild, go crazy. Like just create whatever you guys feel our generation needs. And just kept just dishing out permission and giving us encouragement. Go do it. You got this. Like we need leaders, pastors, CEOs, organizational leaders to be like encouraging, diving into and investing in artists and in the artistic creation of things that are going to help bring emotion to like the gospel and present the gospel in brand new ways to the next generation.
Well, I think you're right. Media, television, all of that, we're so ingrained in that, especially young adults. I mean, it's everywhere. I love movies and
100%,
film and TV, cinema. And so it's like, why are we not stepping into those spaces? Why are we not? I mean, I'm so grateful now, like you see, you're doing it, seeing Angel Studios coming up in it. And I'm like, oh, yay, I can finally binge watch a TV show where I don't have to like have my remote just in case I need to fast forward something or like jump scare of something that like I probably shouldn't be seeing, because you're right, like art and media really is the window to your soul, emotion. It captures all of that. And so just like that quote that you were reading, it could either completely destroy your soul, what you intake that art, that visual, or it could actually like bring out this just glorified work of the Lord. I was talking to a director friend on the same subject, as someone who was also in his own country, and it like literally country was like the only like artist person that was just going after the film industry as a believer. And he kind of said the same thing. He was like, there once was a time where Christians kind of were like leading art, and then all of a sudden we stopped. And I think his response was because same thing like you said, it started getting, whether it was like wishy-washy or it was maybe getting to an extreme of performance rather than, I think people thought it was like performance rather than that heart connection. I'm not sure, but he said, I think because people started questioning it so much, then hands started to get off, so then the world picked it up. And then now we have Hollywood, and then now we have these other streams of quality production, but isn't for the Lord, and stems up, spirits that aren't pure, that aren't light. I'm just wondering, I'm like, God, like, are we going to be able to take back like what's yours? Are we going to be able to take back the creativity? I remember growing up as a kid, and I did a lot of films, acting, things like that as a young kid. Going into high school, where you have to try to like, that's the moment in your life where you're trying to figure out like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And I had to sit there, and I thought I had to choose between being a creative or being a follower of Jesus. I was like, well, I can't not be a follower of Jesus, so I guess I'm just going to have to throw my creativity out the window. That was really sad. Like, so sad. And then moving down here and seeing so many Christian creatives, I was like, wait, I can be a creative and I could be a follower of Jesus. That's so crazy, and inspired me to like get back into the creative world of things. And I'm doing it now, and you're doing it. We're all doing it. We're all here. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there was this fear of where the direction of art was going, and so it was just easier or better to just take a hand off of it.
It's much more simple to just like basically stifle out things that you don't understand. The spirit of religion is something that basically hates creativity, because if the spirit of religion can get you to forget that you have emotions and you just doing all of the rituals and all of the legalistic stuff, that will be your focus, and Jesus becomes less of the passion and less of the focus. It's just what you're doing. The art and the emotion world and creativity, to me, is like it's the window into the heart of God. Like it's basically like, you as Christian creatives, we have the opportunity to design art that is ushering people into the world of God's emotions and displaying his heart in our worlds and into our hearts. It makes so much sense why the spirit of religion would want to shut that down, because you're basically losing that emotional connection with God's heart through beauty, through intaking stories that are crafted with so much excellence and beauty. Brian also kind of would always teach us about the spirit of religion in the way that it would be trying to constantly shut down creativity by people who were emotionally manipulative or controlling or whatever.
There definitely needs to be a balance, right? Like if we're too far on the legalist side, then you lose that relationship with the Lord. If you're too far in the emotional relationship side, then you lose sight of the discipleship and the discipline that comes into that. So there needs to be a balance, but it's like we can't completely take one or the other out. If someone were to say, oh, art doesn't mean anything, it's not important, it doesn't influence anyone, it's like, look at our culture with music and TV. It influences everyone to the point where Christian creatives are now copying secular work to try to make themselves relevant rather than creating something new. And something that's not cheesy. I remember when The Chosen came out, and I told my parents about it, and my dad was like, he literally was like, no, I'm not watching
another
that.
Christian show.
Not another Christian show. It's going to be so... And I was like, just watch one episode. He did, and now he tells everybody about it. He's addicted, And The Chosen is just one example, but I mean, it's just, that was the first like realization or spike in my family where we saw like, oh my gosh, creativity.
Totally. Excellence and legitimate storytelling. And like, it looks actually really good. And like, you're like, they used really nice lenses, and they actually, wow, look at the anamorphic flare. Wow, that's so fire. Who would have thought Jesus with an anamorphic flare? Dang, bro.
Wow. And they last more? They last more than 360 seconds?
No, literally. Also, you have to have a lot of courage as an artist to create stuff that you genuinely feel. And I think what's so needed with artists in our generation, and what I've seen with my friends, and even myself, I had to, when I surrendered my gift to Jesus and I said, Lord, I'm going to surrender the film industry, dream, that whole thing. Even though he said he would do it, I'm going to give you this gift, and I'm going to I'm going to dive into whatever you want me to do. That process of surrendering your gift to Jesus, God will take that creative gift, and that's where it becomes authentic enough to change the Christian industry into like, it basically starts to flip a little bit. Whatever God wants you to do with this gift, that's where the authentic world-changing grit and creativity starts to come alive. He gave us these gifts in order to do these things in life. I think it's that moment. It's that moment where you choose Jesus and you go, I have all these gifts and I could use them for the world, and I could, there's plenty of people who do, but you're like, Jesus, what do you want me to do with these? And whatever you say, I'm going to dive headfirst into that, and I'm going to give it my absolute best. The obsession has taken over. Like I have to create movies, films, emotion, all kinds of things, experiences. But Jesus blew on that obsession when I gave him the gifts. And as I served him in the missions organization and in the Circuit Riders, he like breathed on those gifts and made that obsession even come to life even more.
Finding other people that can encourage you in that.
Yes,
like
that's
the
huge.
Creative world is so lonely. I feel like very like individual. But then when you find your people and they encourage you to create in your world, like it makes great things. I appreciate y'all.
Honestly, for real.
I appreciate my creative friends. Well, we do have a couple of viewer questions.
Okay.
So these are some questions of our viewers who kind of know a little bit about the topic beforehand, and they have questions that we'd love to just simple, practical, ways to kind of answer some of these questions. I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
This one's going to be a fun one. which Bible character do you most relate to creative-wise? Yeah.
It depends on what season I'm in. Sometimes Job, you know, Job, you know, his life, so much humanity happens to him, so much brokenness, so much pain, unexplainable things.
Yeah.
For me, I get a lot of peace out of that, because when a lot of pain and trauma and different things happen to my life, there's a space in life where I go, God didn't say stop feeling or stop emoting or stop whatever. He was just saying, like, trust me. Just trust me when I am going through something that I don't understand, and or someone passes away that I love, or something happens that where we just don't understand. There is this legitimate place in life where you can, for artists, you go and you create from the place of just like emotion with God. That's called the mystery box, and you just put all of your questions in there that you just don't have answers to, and you just trust God. As far as like my normal life when I'm not going through hard things, David is obviously just my favorite artist. I mean, David is from all through the Psalms, and his heart cries and his emotion and the way that he creates and his music abilities, the way he was able to craft songs to like calm King Saul down, and just like how he was able to understand the emotion of God, and express from that place. I think David is one of my favorite biblical characters. I was also raised out in the bushes, you know, you know, with horses and, you know, with and cows and stuff. So just like, you know, out there like David was, you know, tending to the sheep, you know, just a young man.
And then someone knocked on his door and brought him out to California.
Literally.
Yeah.
So I love David. I mean, I spend most of my year in the Psalms to some degree, you know. He was like the first musician and artist that really like grabbed a hold of creating art for God, other than Bezalel, which basically was the guy who the Spirit fell on to create the tabernacle, which was a whole nother artist.
I mean, there's actually so many verses of the Lord being so detailed and perfectionist about how he wants like the tabernacle or things to be artistically done.
Yep. We're kind of capturing their subconscious before they even know they're being captured.
Yeah.
And so then art has the ability to crack open that like intellectual barrier, grab the heart, open it up, and then that art, if it's gospel centered and it has like a gospel presence on it, can go in and just bring them right to Jesus. And then by the time that the end they're done with the art piece or they're done looking at it, salvation's right there just by an art piece. And I've seen it many times with my videos. Like people will be like, I watched your video, and then all of a sudden like I had this encounter and I just started weeping in my room. And then I looked up like the closest church, and I asked someone to pray for me, and then like all of a sudden they are giving their lives to missions like a couple months later or whatever. And there's like so many stories out there like that where people get gripped by art and media and film. We better be perfectionistic about this art. Like we better be obsessive about this art. People's eternities are on the line. And that's what drives me.
And it's so good. I'm gonna link a couple in here. Go watch them. Question number 2. This one's starting now, questions from our viewers. What's the difference between being light in dark places and getting lost in them?
Well, I've seen a lot of my friends who weren't fully like established in their faith and their relationship with Jesus try to go to, they tried to make it to Hollywood. They went to Hollywood and didn't have a good foundation of who they were and their identity and just their relationship with Jesus. And they fell and they got eaten up and spit out. And then they moved back home so jaded, so bitter, so sad. And just like being a light in the industry, I think is just like, you better have a family, you better have a good relationship with Jesus, you better know who you are, your identity, because the devil's going to come after all those things. He has a secular family for you, he has secular identity for you, he has all these things for you that are going to replace if you're not pretty aggressive about your relationship with Jesus and bringing others with you. I mean, Hollywood is essentially, I'm a missionary, that's a lost and broken world. So like I have to be on my guard, and I have to be knowing that these people need Jesus. Go out there and just love everyone and just let Jesus's love empower you to be that light, and just being aware that the devil wants you dead and he wants you to fall, and he wants to take you out as fast as possible. As long as you're being active in your mindset on those things, you should be fine. I think you'll blaze, and the light will definitely show for sure.
I love that. That's so good. Another question is creativity spiritual or just artistic?
I would definitely say spiritual creativity is kind of like that. It's like this weird creative like ethereal realm that you're kind of you're tapping into physical things out of God's emotion that totally comes from the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
Creativity is very spiritual.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Yeah.
using it for dark or for light,
Yeah.
it's very
I
spiritual.
think some people create things that communicate very dark things, and they're
For
like,
sure.
"Oh, it doesn't. It's just art.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything." And it's like, no, actually, that's like, spirits, not great spirits are coming
It's
out
opening
of
all
that.
kinds of doors
Yeah.
in the spiritual realm in your heart and letting Satan run wild, and you're like,
It is spiritual.
Yeah, it's totally spiritual.
Last question we have here is, why does Christian media often feel behind in quality? We see Christians constantly copying each other in creativity, including secular brands. Why don't Christians create their own artistry?
we kind of talked about it already, but as an artist, if you can find the need of what you're trying to solve, and then you pour your passion and obsession and all of that stuff into the thing. And the other thing I would like to say on this is God gave the gifts of creativity to everyone, even secular people. All of the real creative gifts, no matter if you're saved or lost, come from God, but they just don't use it for him. So to avoid regurgitation in the Christian world, I don't look at other churches or other organizations or anything in the Christian world to be inspired by. My school is essentially like watching Christopher Nolan films. Like I love like the insane cinematic universes that Christopher Nolan makes, Denis Villeneuve makes. I love watching Adidas campaigns, Nike's campaigns. My source of inspiration comes from everywhere. That's the way that God designed it to be. Even Van Gogh had people he ripped off, and people that and Monet, and like they all were inspired by their mentors. Sometimes Christians will see what the world does and then they'll just try to copy it. So like stealing like an artist is like not copying something, but it's basically taking inspiration from that thing and using it for a completely other thing. Like I was inspired by a few scenes in like Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins to create a promo about evangelism. Like that's just like so two different worlds. Get cultured, understand the world around you, understand your generation, create to fill that need. And I think you're gonna create something that's gonna freaking change your life and change the world. So
if you are creative and you are in that decision making of, do I full send it or do I not? I hope that you're encouraged. Send this to a creative friend who's maybe the only creative person in their ministry, in their community, in their city, in their country. Get encouraged, get inspired. Watch some of Boyer's videos. I'm gonna link them down here below because they are crazy. Seeing some of the things from the campaign that you're coming out with soon too. I haven't watched it yet. I've only seen like pictures. A few screenshots, but so good. I have a couple of verses here that I just love to share in correlation to creativity, but is Colossians 1:16, for by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created by him and for him. God being the ultimate creator. And then Psalms 19:1 is, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Such a good conversation. Again, if you were inspired, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, send it to a friend. And now it's time for you to get up and do something because your day is just beginning. Yay! Let's go! Yes!
That was fire.
I love my creative friends.
That was fun.
So fun.